Hello! Doesn't this look terrible? Well, let's fix that. This may be what the game looks like to you when you first get started due to the graphics defaults. So let's go in and change the graphics defaults. Now, you can get there from the system menu, clicking down here, going to options, or you can just press escape on your keyboard, go to options, go to the graphics area. Overall graphics quality, this might sound snobby, but any decent computer should be able to run this game at ultra high quality settings. I mean, this game is relatively old. Yes, they update the engine, but it's, any decent graphics card should be able to run this at ultra high. So I'd recommend leaving it there. This next one, DirectX 11, it should be a DirectX 11 again on a modern computer. If you only have DirectX 9 as an option, you're probably missing some of the DirectX extensions that need to be installed separately. There is a thread on the forums. Visit the LotRO forums. Visit the technical support area down towards the bottom and find the sticky thread there on that. So I am running currently in windowed mode just for the purposes of recording. So by the way, the easy way in and out of windowed mode is to just hold down your Alt key and then press Enter on your keyboard. So Alt Enter, and that toggles between windowed and full screen mode instead of having to come in here and choosing one or the other. So your full screen resolution. Now, if everything's right on your system, you may not need to even know what your native resolution of your display is, your monitor or your laptop screen. You should just be able to say full screen resolution, scroll down, and the last resolution listed should be the native supported resolution. That's not foolproof though. That's not always the case. I actually don't want to run at that because everything becomes too tiny for you all to see. So I'm going to set it to 1920 by 1080. And because I'm windowed, nothing happened. But for the windowed mode, I set it to the same resolution for both. That way things stay where they are UI-wise, but then, when it's windowed, at least I can easily go out and open a browser or play some music or whatever I want to do. So there we go. I selected 1920 by 1080. It immediately made the change. Then aspect ratio, leave this on auto. I've had all different aspect ratio monitors, and auto in LotRO has always worked for me. So just leave it on auto. It will determine the best aspect ratio for whatever resolution you've selected. Anti-aliasing, go to 8x, and believe it or not, you are done. I really have seldom seen a need to go into the advanced graphics and mess with the individual settings. And audio and all these other settings we can come by and visit some other time, but there we are. So I'm going to try to be as brief about equipment and equipping things as I can, and maybe leave some details aside. But the simplest way to do it is you press I, you bring up your inventory bags, and I've got some things here that are upgrades over what I currently have equipped. To see what you currently have equipped, you press C, and that brings up your character panel. Now, as you can see here on your character panel, you have slots for different types of equipment. Here you've got jewelry and a pocket item down this side, and over here you've got your armor and or clothing. And then down here you have your weapons, things like that. You can hover over each one and see which one they are, but basically you've got 2 earrings, a necklace, 2 bracelets, 2 rings, and a pocket. And here's your basics: your helmet, your shoulders, your back or cloak slot, your body, your gloves, your leggings, your boots, etc. I guess real quick, you got your primary weapon, then it's aura, or it's kind of like a way to make it look cool. Then you've got your offhand, where as a guardian I'm going to normally be carrying a shield there, but if you're a dual wielding class you might have a second weapon there. Your ranged weapon, if you're allowed to have one, and then your class slot. This is where like lore masters would have their book, things like that. I don't believe guardians have a class slot, so we can set that aside for some classes. Okay, let's head down to our equipment here. If we hover over any equipment you just got as a quest reward or through trade or wherever, you just hover over, and it's showing us what's it's showing us the new item, then to the right of it, what's equipped. I have a weak mace equipped in one hand and my shield equipped in the other. And you just compare. You say, okay, well, 3.7 DPS is better than 1.7 DPS, so let's equip that. The way you equip that sword is you right-click it or double-click it, either one. I right-click. And it just swapped it right in to where it could go. For the shield, it's comparing it to the equipped shield. This also is better. 17 armor is better than 9 armor, so I'm going to want to equip that. Do you notice there where for the left-hand shield it says item level 5, and then for the split kite shield it says item level 1? Those are arbitrary level numbers in that, I mean, they're not related to your character level. Like I have a character level of 2. Don't read these item levels to mean like item level 5 means you should have this on you at character level of 5. They are not related like that. These are just arbitrary numbers set on a scale so that you can just say, oh, this wooden shield is item level 5. Generally speaking, it's better than a shield that is item level 1. And it'll go up into the hundreds of item levels by the end of the game. You'll see, by the time you're at, quote, end game, you'll see, item levels of 150, 250. I think we're up to like 350 and stuff like that. Maybe even in the 400s. All right, and then the only other, the real tricky part comes where, like, let's say you're equipping jewelry, and you have let's say you have 3 earrings. If you had 3 earrings and you right-click one, it's going to pop into this first one. And then for the second earring, you right-click it, it's going to say, oh, he has an open earring slot, and it's going to pop into the second one. Now you're out of open earring slots. So that third earring, if you right-click it, it's just always going to go to the first earring slot. If you want it in the second earring slot, you're going to have to drag it over and drop it into the second earring slot. That goes for your bracelet slots and your ring slots. Once you've used all the available slots, it just assumes you're replacing, if you just right-click or double-click an item, it just is going to put it in the first slot. So I know I'm repeating myself, but if you want it in the second slot of a given type, you have to drag it there manually. Okay? Honestly, I really think that sums it up. You might be wondering, how do you determine what's better than what? These ones are obvious, but later in the game, a lot of times when you're choosing equipment as a reward or you're choosing what to equip, it goes according to, like, if you're a heavy armor wearer, you'll want to choose items that give you more might than other statistics, like might, agility, vitality, will, and fate. If I can figure out how, I'll drop a screenshot up of, which classes should prioritize which of these attributes. But basically for heavy armor classes, it's might. For hunters it's agility. I know that. Everyone wants vitality because that gives you morale most directly. But for like light armor classes that are like minstrels and lore masters, you'll want will. This is getting far afield, but just for basic selection, I wanted to touch on this. So traits, let's just go over them real quick. You have earned your first trait point. Trait points can be spent to enhance your character in the trait tree panel. And we click here. It's very much trying to bring our attention here. So there we go. Notice over here, this is actually where your race traits and your virtues are kept too, but we're not talking about those yet. So for class traits, you pretty much get, for most classes, you get 3. Blue, red, and yellow. And that generally, red is generally for DPS, damage per second. In other words, nuking. You just want to do as much damage as possible. Blue, that tends to be in the context of like a healer. That would be your primary healing tree. You would select this if you're going into encounters in a group where you need to do a lot of healing of others. And then yellow tends to be kind of like the jack of all trades or the support branch. So let's say you're later in the game and you're trying to suit your character to a particular goal, or task at hand. If you're in a group and you're going to need to be doing healing and you're a minstrel, you would choose blue. If you're a lore master or a support class that needs to be doing a bunch of crowd control or debuffing or buffing, then you would go yellow. If you just want to do damage, you would go red. And this varies per class. Like I believe champion, this would be AoE damage or area of effect damage, where you can hit multiple targets at once and still do respectable damage. This would be single target damage. And honestly, I wouldn't even know what a blue trade-in is for a champion. But you get the idea. So when you're soloing, you pretty much want to go red, because you want to kill things as quickly as possible and move on, right? And so we're going to choose red here. So we're going to say, and I should point out here, you've got stored ones here. So if you go 1, then you configure the blue one, and then you go to 2 and you configure the red one, you can switch between the two on your character just by selecting these. Obviously, if you want a third slot, you would need to spend some mithril coins, which is weak. But anyways, I'm going to go ahead and select 2, because I like to keep it that 1 is this one, and 2 is this one, and 3 is that one. Now, obviously, I don't even have a third one here anymore. They removed it for the Guardian. But I've switched to my second one. I'm going to say Spec 2, and we're just going to start throwing my 1 trait point into here. So I have increased my, increases your chance to score critical hits. So probably added a percentage to that, right? And as I get more of these, and I think it's every other level, I will get more points available. And by the time you're at level cap, you'll be able to max these out and even throw a few at a penalty into additional. Sorry, I'm making all these flash around, aren't I? Into the other ones, so you can actually specialize in one and then have a few of the others chosen. Over here, you should watch as you fill these in. You will gain additional skills like this. This should give us a brutal assault skill, and other skills come with this. Hammer down. Cool skills that come with these when you slot these in. And then also, as you fill this up, this far left one starts to fill in. The more you put in over here, the more this fills up and gives you additional cool stuff. So keep an eye on that. And as soon as you apply, you'll see a bunch of skills pop up that you'll need to. Actually, here's a couple right now. Overwhelm and Breach seem to have come along with just going red in the first place. So I hope that was explained in a way that makes sense to everyone. Sometimes I wonder if I'm doing any better than the in-game traits window here does. The in-game tutorial tips, whatever. So that's traits. Good luck.